Alright, practice agad.
Maligo sa hotel, bro.
Ano ba yun?
Mali din yung takbo nung ano, parang mali yung takbo. Minsan
namin ko, wala, minsan
minsan nakawala ka, minsan sisisihin mo sarili mo kahit di naman kailangan.
Wala na tayong samaan ng loob dito. Parang, ang nangyayari kasi ngayon, parang di na tayo team eh. Di na tayo team mag-isip. Disiplina tayo lahat dapat. Kasi nawawalan na tayo ng disiplina eh. Yun ang nangyayari.
Masyado ako naging mabait sa lahat eh. Parang tinignan ko kayo, tropa na lang kayo, ganyan.
So, ano, meron pa kang problema? Kung wala, panoorin na natin yung replay.
Oh, na-burn pa yung flash ni James.
Tapos, papunta na yung Rek'Sai. Ang mangyayari dito, ang mindset ni Kaigo dito, kaya siya nag-TP para di kayo mamatay kasi nandiyan yung Rek'Sai.
Maganda yung coach.
Maganda yan.
Simula yung campaign. Hindi na sana yung
mali.
gano'n.
Mechanics yung mali dyan. Isipin mo kung na-trap, tas tumama
Gago,
ang
ganda
cue.
ng route ng takbo.
Mamatay agad yan.
Mali namin yung sa amin yan.
Kasi
Sa unang
pinilit
third.
ko. Yan, pagka-TP yung matras, kinansin.
Good afternoon, Summoners, and we welcome you to Ref Rivals. Today is the semifinals where GPL and OPL will fight against each other to move on to the finals. But before that, I'm Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We will be your casters for the semifinals, King of the Hill.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. It has come down right to this, as the GPL and the OPL will be taking the stage first, as this does technically grant LJL a direct ticket into the finals after their stellar performance during the group stage.
Well, can you blame them? They had such a perfect game from day 1 and day 2. They deserve it. Now, waiting in the final spot for either GPL region or the OPL region. They will fight it out so that we'll know who will be facing off LJL in the finals.
Yes, of course, as reflected in our schedule, the semi-final match, it is indeed going to be GPL's MSK versus OPL Sin Gaming, both of the third seeds coming from both the GPL and the OPL respectively. And as you can see, you know, we can't really determine just yet what will next matches be, because it'll ultimately be determined by who actually wins this first match right here between the GPL region and the OPL region.
Well, a short description of the format is that basically third seeds each of both regions, they'll fight it out. Whoever loses from the losing team, they will be switched out with the second, and if they win the third seed, they'll be switched out again, so on and so forth until all of the 3 teams have been wiped out.
Yeah, and there you go. You know, it's been an interesting day too that we've been having today.
But also an interesting video we saw where we did see Mineski's video, so it's about Road to Glory in a sense that we did see the behind the scenes where teams are actually frustrated after a loss. They fight, they argue, but there is always that camaraderie where they talk it out.
Yeah,
they actually resolve it. No hard feelings. You are a professional gamer.
Yeah, this is what I've been talking about right here, that, you know, especially for our audience, you know, they always look at the technical stuff such as what happens as far as mechanical mistakes and stuff like that, but what they really don't realize is what actually happens behind the scenes. You know, the player, like you mentioned, the player frustrations, the certain level of discord or certain disagreements sometimes, but of course, at the end of the day, it all comes down to really coming together, realizing, addressing what mistakes you made and trying to improve on it going on later on during the day.
And also, it's the famous line, you know my KDA, but you don't know my story. So we see the side of Mineski. They had frustrations one after another. They really had a bad first day. And then on to the second day, it just got worse. It's because of this frustration, this regrets, and stress they are facing. But let's hope that entering the semifinals, they will be at least carrying some of their weight entering the GPL region, because Ascension Gaming and Gigabyte Remains will be fighting against each other. But right now, on to the drafting phase of Mineski and Sin Gaming. These are the both third seeds of their respective region. Let's see who will be the king of the hill in today's semifinals.
Yeah, and of course, for the bands coming in from Mineski's side, the Gragas, Rek'Sai, and Tom Kinch actually going to be taking away 2 champions from Jews, as well as the Tom Kinch coming from World. We actually have seen how much of a strong player, I'd actually say, Jews has a really good powerhouse for Sin Gaming right here. So taking off 2 champions that he would actually be able to make a huge impact with, no surprise right there. And as for the squad coming in from OPL, Sin Gaming, the Nunu, the Zac, and the Galio going to be banned out. Zac and Galio almost 100% pick and ban rate for Rift Rivals, if not 100% actually. I don't think I've seen a single Zac or Galio game. But regardless, the Nunu as well. This is a constant ban that I've been seeing taken away from the Mineski's ban. So I'm actually quite surprised here that, again, since this is a recurring ban, this may have been something that Mineski, even though we haven't technically seen actually on a live broadcast, something that they've been practicing for Hamed. So regardless, you know, we won't be seeing that Nunu just yet, or we wouldn't really be able to uncover the mystery as to why this is a consistent ban from Mineski. But regardless, going into the picks, of course, Thresh going to be taken first pick for TG right here. So, you know, a lot of pressure here on TG to really perform and make plays on this Thresh. Will definitely determine the tempo as to whether or not Mineski will be having a successful run throughout this first game here. Again, of course, you know, it's really make it or break it here. But then again, of course, the Caitlyn release as well gonna be taken for Sin Gaming. But, you know, quick recap of our standings here, because it's very crucial. Like we've mentioned, it's actually OPL and GPL, like I mentioned, bottom 2, because it's either you go first or nothing. Because second or third, regardless of, sure, you could make it in second. It's a proud moment-ish in its way, because you've proven yourself a second contender. But of course, within the format of Rift Rivals, it doesn't really matter, because you'll actually be competing in the semifinals either way. But looks like heading into the rest of what Mineski has drafted for the first pick phase, the Olaf and the Jin actually. So I'm really interested in seeing how this Olaf will eventually play out. Looking at the summoner spells for Hames, I'm highly anticipating an Olaf jungler here. I don't think this will be a cheese to top.
Especially the fact that Sin Gaming, they already prioritized the Caitlyn. So picking up an Olaf would be a nightmare for a Caitlyn, and I've seen it before. It does not look pretty at all. So Mineski picking up some counters on their side, whereas Sin Gaming, they are going to be picking up the Talia, which denies a lot of heavy roam potential coming from Mineski. So also to remove the Talia from Exosen. So we're seeing a lot of bans coming in from the top and the jungle side from Mineski, but Sin Gaming, they will be focusing more of a general ban, Galio, Zac, and Nunu, and a focus ban for the second phase on the Exosen, which would be the Castanet and the Syndra.
Yeah, again, 2 champions. I really like the thought process here with Sin Gaming. Upon choosing that Talia, really using the second banning phase to ban out whatever champions Mineski can use much efficiently to potentially counter that champion. But regardless, I like the fact that Mineski, I'm pretty sure that they anticipated this potential Talia pick, which is why I think the Olaf is actually a genius jungle pick, in the sense that a lot of the disruption that Sin Gaming has through the Elysis Cocoon, through the general kit of the Talia, through the general kit of Alistar is actually negated because of that one Ragnarok coming in from Olaf. Of course, at the end of the day, there's a huge pressure on Hames here to really perform and weave about using that advantage of Olaf's Ragnarok to weave around all this CC, because if not optimally used, then that actually might make or break the chance of Mineski here to take a win against the Sin Game.
I love the pickup on the Orianna, really complements Mineski's strategy. All at mid, just run it down mid, so Sin Gaming will not have much of a response, and Alistar can't do much against an Olaf that has the Ragnarok. So very crucial bans coming in and picking from Mineski. Really solid lineup, but Sin Gaming is all about timing. So Mineski's side, if the Olaf does not have the Ragnarok, I wonder what happens then.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna think about it, Sin Gaming, they've really been on point with how they've been playing their games thus far. Even though, sure, they might have had a few bumps in some of their games during day 1, but as far as overall performance, like we've seen, OPL in general really stepping up in comparison to the GPL squad here. So it really comes down to results, or whether or not both of these teams have managed to adapt to going into the semifinals of Rift Rivals.
So here is the final picking phase completed. Coaches shaking their hands. This is the semifinals of the Rift Rivals 2017 for GPL and OPL, whereas LJL, they will be sitting at the final stage.
Man, I'm actually quite nervous right now for both sides here. I mean, think of the mentality of both these players. Again, a lot is on the line, and this is where the whole concept of Rift Rivals actually manifests as a region game. It's not really about a team game. It's your whole region performing, really needing to carry the weight of each other.
It's not the fact that you individually you're good, but as a region, you need to step it up and at least help out the better region, the better team in your own region, like the first seed of OPL or GPL. They'll be at the last slot, so it'll be the third seeds having more of an endurance test, where the first seed is going to be the ace, the champions entering the King of the Hill.
And what's really interesting here is, we've had that behind the scenes talk wherein we've kind of been considering the Gigabyte Marines as the savior of the GPL, but of course, like we mentioned, because of this format, Ascension Gaming and MSK really want to step up.
But on to more information to see from the behind the scenes. We've seen a lot, I mean the first video, but let's see an interview with TG before we head out to the Rift.
Siguro kaya natatalo kami ngayong MSK kasi puro kills lang yung nakuha namin at di namin tinatranslate sa objectives. And yun yung dapat namin ayusin siguro para gumanda pa yung laro ng team. Ay mga natutunan namin sa kalaban namin na Sin Gaming and Unsolved Stop Gaming is kailangan namin galingan sa macro plays namin kasi doon kami kulang. Kasi doon sila mas umangat sa amin. At ayusin namin ngayon yun para sa semifinals. Mga talo namin as a team, bali ginagawa namin ngayon is pinapanood yung replay para makita namin yung mga pagkukulang namin. And going naman sa laban namin bukas sa semifinals, yung mentality namin ngayon team, kaya naman namin eh. Gawin lang namin is ilas namin yung mga mistakes namin para hindi kami matalo. Maraming salamat sa mga sumusuporta sa amin at patuloy pang sumusuporta sa Team MSK. Kahit natalo kami, andyan pa rin kayo. Maraming salamat kasi nagbo-boost yun ng moral namin. And siguraduhin namin, nagagalingan namin sa laban namin bukas para umadvance sa finals.
Here we are live on the Rift. This is going to be the first matchup of the OPL and GPL.
And of course, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The moment of truth, make it or break it for both these regions if they want to get a chance at going up against LJL in their finals. Ladies and gentlemen, MSK versus Sin Gaming.
So right now, let's head on to the Rift. This is both third seeds of their respective region. King of the Hill, who will stand on top? Let's get straight to it.
Yes, there we go. Both sides are really, again, I like that insight coming in there from TG, really recognizing what mistakes that they made during both day 1 and day 2 of Rift Rivals, and really making the proactive effort to try to correct that. Like they've realized, macro play was definitely something that MSK struggled with against the other teams, wherein the other teams that they went up against were quite superlative out of it. So hopefully within the evening that they've managed to recuperate, make all the necessary adjustments.
Ooh, flashing from TG, flash from FBI.
Yeah, but really good though. I mean, if you're gonna consider which side really got much more about exhausting a summoner resource, I mean, an AD carry without a flash, that's one step of vulnerability that Hamis could exploit if ever he decides to transition that into a gank later on, or even a teleport play for Kaigu. But of course, we'll just have to see.
And right now, in terms of matchup, they really have to watch out for FBI's Caitlyn, because we did see from the day 2 of the Rift Rivals, very superior positioning. A very close game with LJL, but in fact that they've lost. But they did show superior macro play in a sense. Their positioning was on point, especially FBI. So I wonder what MSK has to bring into this game. Something new, something they haven't tried yet, or they have tried it before. It's the fact that they couldn't even have synergy. But right now we're seeing Ryoma taking away 5. Oh my goodness, 5 keep score. That's 5. So this really denies Hamis' level 2. A huge setback.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. But then again, this is the trouble when you're an Orianna going up against a Talia. the superiority in terms of push that Talia has really allows her much more control and really these kind of plays that would potentially set back Hamas. And considering, like I've mentioned, you know, this Olaf, I really like this draft here coming in from Mineski's coach, but it's really all up to Hamas here. He doesn't, any moment that sets him back may potentially deter Mineski because there's just so much disruption looking at the composition of Sin Gaming's squad here. So again, the Ragnarok mechanic for Olaf is such a strong tool going into this fight here.
And we did see that from Ryoma's Thief. He stole the resources from Hamas. Immediately he became level 2. Now he's level 3. 1 level ahead of Exosen. That is going to be huge considering Talia's roam potential unlocks at level 6 in the fact that Exosen will be forced to keep farming, pushing the lane, whereas Ryoma is free to roam around the ramp because he did deny Hamas of that crucial Raptors.
Indeed, and looking at what happened there, it actually manifested Juves with the leg up onto Hamas because of that disruption from Ryoma right there, forcing out a flash from Zensho upon going for a surprise gank within less than 3 minutes of the game. So, you know, Sin Gaming really one step ahead of the competition thus far as bracket plays.
We see the pulverize position TG for the play, 3-man play, but he did get knocked up. He did get stunned by the Cocoon heal, burned by Zensho. The attempt to save him. First blood is onto Jubes. Zensho's very low. Jubes might go for a tower dive, but backs away, knowing that Zensho will be safe under that turret.
I love how Sin Gaming has been playing this. Again, it's very much of a cause and effect thing. Knowing very well that TG losing out on his flash earlier to try to make a play, along with forcing out a flash from Zensho earlier, really allowed vulnerability that Sin Gaming could have really exploited on, but
Oh, Hamas spots out Dokla, gets stopped on the underthrow. Kaigo for the flash in, Ruthless Predator, he's taking a lot of turret hits. Taigu will be taken down. Dokla with a dangerous game. Dokla gets a double kill.
Oh man, Mineski, not oh, there we
TG
go,
with a hook in, but no follow-up yet. There is Juice from the Krugs. TG's all alone. 3-man under the turret of Mineski's bot lane. TG's very low, but it would be the Alistar tanking it in. 1-for-1 trade. Rogue is pretty happy with that, but TG got a kill onto him.
Man, a little bit messy here from the Mineski squad thus far. And, you know, Sin Gaming, it's technically them being much more proactive and with the proactivity seeing much more success, but let's go ahead and see what happened here. So actually a great headbutt coming here from Rogue, really denying TG any level of escape to the turret, and because of that perfectly landed cocoon as well, just really sealed the death for TG right here, and Zensho under a lot of pressure there as the chase continued, but still luckily. But regardless, this is quite tricky for Mineski right now.
Mineski really played it aggressive. They really underestimated Dokla in a way that he has the dangerous game. So as soon as Kaigo died, we saw a lot of health. Actually, the small health that Dokla regenerated was more than enough to stall and get himself a double. Granting him that blasting one will be a crucial item, especially Kaigo, who is on a Renekton. So this is going to be bad news for Renekton.
Oh no,
Oh, Hamas eats up the cocoon. Jubes is chasing him down. Mineski for the disruption will not fend off Jubes. Hamas is very low. The Bass Cone will save Hamas.
Yeah, very lucky. Hamas escaping with a slither of health though, but then again, with that play right there, really telling of how Sin Gaming has a lot of control over this game thus far. I really like the offensive warding into Mineski's jungle here, really trying to choke out Hamas here. Like I've been mentioning, Hamas is such a key component to making Mineski's composition work. If anything, quite a great workaround against this Talia, but again, with Sin Gaming continuing to shut down, I don't think that's going to manifest just yet going into the mid-game, unless, you know, Mineski makes a proactive play that actually leads to success, because we have been seeing proactivity, but like we've been seeing though, it's really Sin Gaming just capitalizing on these minor mistakes or overplays that allows them to steer ahead.
And it's the fact that Jubes, he is invading the jungle of Hamas, which is dangerous for him because he got denied of the 5 Raptors, and then he's level behind. He died under the turret once. He did get a kill for the pickup, but it's the fact that Jubes feels comfortable. See, he took away that big Krog, denying Hamas even more. He'll be very late in itemization. So we're saying go. Entering the mid lane, goes in for the combo. Exo flashes away from the pulverize.
Man, a lot of summoners being exhausted by Mineski within the first heading into 7 minutes of the game. And what's even scarier is that with Dokla right now, I mean, having a blasting one so early on the game, sure, it's not really as potent.
Oh, hide and seek. Juve spots TG. Very low on health. Sancho for the assist. James is there. Juve dodges that bind from the Jin.
Oh man, that's again, I really like the Sin Gaming really taking advantage of the lead that they've managed to develop, and they're not stopping right now, really trying to seek moments of opportunity where they can further lead against MSK. MSK though, regardless, you know, luckily hasn't survived any casualties yet as a result of the continued proactivity from Sin Gaming, but then again, this 2-5, not a lead that you want to take lightly, you know, almost leaning towards the 2,000 gold deficit towards the 8-minute mark. That's actually pretty big considering how many minutes in we're in the game only early on.
And it's also the fact that Dokla is 3-1-0 and Kaigo is 0-2-1. At this point in time, I don't think you should get the Tiamat because normally you get them when you're ahead and you want to push. And when you're talking about a Rumble, giving 3 kills with a Blasting One, Ruby Crystal, and an Amplifying Tome, he's in for hell. He won't even have a good time against Rumble or even a chance. It's up to him to really stall the game, farm it up. But he will be still picking up the Tiamat, I guess, because he wants to push the lane, open himself for teleport plays. But I don't think that's going to turn out because Dokla is very ahead.
Good on Hamis here, actually managing to scare. I'm not sure if that was a scare away or Sin Gaming being extra cautious, but regardless, this is a good thing because if you're actually going to look at it, the good thing about Hamis here is
for dive, flash over the wall, shoving away Zencho like a ping pong ball. Juves goes in for the tower dive. Zencho's very low. He pops the heal. There's the lantern for the save. Oh, TG with the lantern save.
Man, that was such a clutch play. A great play coming from TG. Actually,
oh, flash and Haven Ignite onto Rogue. TG gets the revenge.
Man, great play there coming from TG. You know, really making up in this game thus far. And that was quite a pleasure to watch coming in from MSK's spot lane. That was so clutch. Not only do you save Zencho, but you managing to get a kill to try to get back into this game. Absolutely impeccable.
Very personal in the bot side. TG just got really impatient with Rogue in a way that Rogue had the nerve to flash over that wall, using a flash just to let the polarize and headbutt Zencho to FBI. TG felt a bit disrespected, like how can you do that to my ADC? So he did that flashy flay play and ignite onto Rogue, which is very personal in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. That was very impressive. I'm really hoping that MSK can keep up with those type of clutch plays whenever Sin Gaming goes for the offensive in a way. So we'll just have to see. Again, they still have a lot of ground to cover, but then again, that does slowly get them back as far as keeping on equal ground with MSK and Sin Gaming. Because if you're going to look at it, they really need to make all these plays because looking at Zencho versus FBI's CS right now, 63 to 83, that's a pretty huge difference, and we're only near the 10-minute mark.
DJ rotates to the top lane, aiming for some room, but bad news for MSK. The first blood turret went to FBI. That would be 650 gold for him, so that will skyrocket his lead and possibly finishing up his static shift faster.
Yeah, I think that was something MSK was already decided to. That was a tower that MSK already decided to concede in advance, because if you're gonna look at it, Zencho and TG are already nearing towards the top side, so they were actually anticipating giving up on the fact that, you know, we already know that FBI.
Very disgusting traps coming from FBI. See how he's just taking out the turrets. This is what I love about FBI. And we see Rogue denying the cover from Kaigo. He still goes in for the flash and Bruce's Predator for the stun. FBI is very low. He pops the heal and flashed away. But James will be slicing him down. Now Ryoma's very low. James is still alive. With only James alive, we see a double kill for Ryoma, making a triple kill for Sin Gaming's mid laner. Axa with a 3-man shockwave onto the turret. The turret will be doing the work. Oh no! The turret just took down a spider leg.
Man, that was pretty tricky there by MSK. I understand the logic as to sending in Zencho because he was already behind on CS. So, you know, send him top lane to try to farm up in as much as he can while dealing with the rest of the members rotating towards bottom Sin Gaming. It's just that the problem here is that Kaigo was 0-2-1 on this Renekton, you know, not really a good start to him, and this Rumble, Dokla, really way up in comparison. So,
and the fact that MSK grouped up was just bad, because why would you group up on a flame-spitting Rumble? You're just asking to be melted down, and especially Dokla, he has the Leander's Torment. that's extra DPS over time. That's going to be more damage, more penetration. So Mineski will really have to think before they act, especially TG, because we did see that he was trying to save the bot lane turret in a way that Rogue went in. But overcommitment is also a bad thing for Mineski.
Exactly. I completely agree with you there. You know, they underestimated their potential. Well, overestimated actually their potential to deal with Dokla because he has such an impressive lead right now because of what
Ooh,
he's doing.
TG lands the hook onto the spiraling. Juves though has the blasting cone for the save. So it will be 3 members. Again, FBI singling out, and he's getting those turrets without an assist. So he gets the full 350 gold, which is going to be huge. Immediately going for the pickaxe. Good start. Oh, Juves though should not have pride in the space of Mineski. Better respect that.
I love that play from XN. Really thinking fast right there, getting a full combo, not to mention the takedown onto Juice right there. Again, these really small things that you really want to ensure, small victories to make sure that Cinna Gaming doesn't really pull ahead of the competition here. So
I like how the fact that FBI, instead of going for straight the Zeal, he picked up the pickaxe and immediately went for the 2 daggers.
yeah,
So
definitely.
we know that he's going for more pushing power, and it's working.
Yeah, definitely worked because what we saw towards bot lane actually, I think that's one of the contributing factors. You know, FBI, because he's so farmed up, he's quite confident going up against Kaigu, who was set quite behind by Dokla earlier during their own laning phase in the top lane. And that manifested into that 4-man death coming in from Mineski's squad. So, you know, we'll just have to see. Mineski really needs to start respecting the other members of Sin Gaming, which actually has a lead right now, that they have to realize that there's not in all scenarios that they want to make plays they could deal with right now, because again, Dokla, Juice, and Ryoma, after getting that triple kill, all really forces that you want to respect right now because of these heavy leads that they have in comparison to their counterparts, especially with Kaigu right now. Really needs to farm up a little bit more if he wants to go up to par later on in these small skirmishes to even bigger clashes.
And when it comes to lead, I don't think Kaigo is the one that has the lead because he got the 2 long swords. Mina went for the Tiamat. He instead went for the Hex Drinker, delaying his main item, which would be the Black Cleaver. Okay, you pick up a defensive item, but at this point in time, a Hex Drinker is not that optimal. So, because of this, I don't think Kaigo will be this frontlining beast where James will be the one filling in that spot. So it's going to be very difficult for Mineski, knowing that Kaigo does no damage. It's not that tanky. Right now, this is going to be like a 4v5 match because Kaigo is very behind. He will have to catch up pretty soon. CS-wise, he's not that far behind, but when it comes to damage, not even comparing to Dokla.
No, not at all. And, you know, Mineski really needs to work on windows of opportunity here. You know, like I mentioned, I like the proactive play that they did earlier in order for Venture to farm up. But then again, they have to put into consideration that their own top laner needs this opportunity to try to get back up to par with some gaming as well, because not even a single item completed yet for Kaigu. While Leandri Storm and Dokla actually already leaning towards to complete the second item.
Shockwave wasted by accident. Now Ace in the hole, Hamas is there. Dogging for the Flame Spitter and Harpoon. No more Equalizer available for Sin Gaming. I really question that Shockwave from Exocet in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely, because if anything, this will definitely limit their potential as far as defending the space right here. With an ult down, the Nessie squad actually limits their options as far as going for an engagement. Oh no, Weaver's Wall!
Weaver's Wall for the cutoff. Rogue is closing in on the Exo and Zencho, but instead goes in for the tax. Dokla is there for the Flame Spitter. Exo is very low on health, but Dokla does have the Harpoon. 1 down, 1 more, but the Flame Spitter will finish him off. Exo gets taken down.
Man, again, Sin Gaming really capitalizing on the smaller mistakes coming in from Mineski here. And the problem is, it actually manifests into bigger takes coming in from Sin Gaming. Not only are they able to get a member off Mineski, but with the turret siege at the same time that they get as an additional bonus, really pulling the rug here for Mineski to try to get back into this game. And it's absolutely insane. 6,000 gold deficit, leaning towards 7,000. We're not even 20 minutes into this game yet, but Sin Gaming in total command out there.
16 minutes into the game and with a kill score of 5-9, that is huge, especially with the gold lead of that much. And now they will be getting the Rift Herald. That's going to be more setbacks for Mineski, so their combat conditions would be either stall it out in a way that Kaigo can be more defensive, more tanky, but Mineski has that composition. The Olaf and the Oriana combo in a way that they can bypass a lot of CC, but EXO does not deal enough damage, so that's going to be another problem. You have the setting clash, but you don't have the damage to finish it off.
Exactly, and if you're gonna look at it overall, the composition that Mineski has in order to really get things going. Again, I've been championing as to how much I like this Olaf kickoff to really deal with the rest of the elements coming in from Sin Gaming. But then again, without TG and Kaigu not at optimal speed to really perform and allow Hamis the disruption to deal the damage that he can on Sin Gaming, this is the trouble that Mineski actually has. And if you're gonna look at it, it's mostly Sin Gaming been proactively picking off from the members of the Mineski squad. So I haven't really quite seen yet an opportunity wherein Mineski themselves really got something big out of these fights from Sin Gaming. If anything, small victories, but as opposed to the fuller fights, which actually allows them the opportunity to get back into this game, that's something I'm yet to see.
The Baron live in less than 2 minutes. I think we'll be seeing this Baron to be this one last hope of Mineski. And if Sin Gaming makes a mistake at the Baron pit, Mineski can just simply come back from the deficit they had from the early phases of the game. So right now it's still anyone's game because the Baron has not yet been taken, which is one of the objectives who really turns the tables around and really changes the flow of fight in the clash. So let's hope that this Baron will be the saving grace for Mineski. But right now Sin Gaming are pushing the bot lane inner turret.
Yeah, there we go. Man, 5 and 9. I mean, it's pretty stagnant, but regardless, as far as the overall macro, Sin Gaming will control, which is why we're seeing this huge tantamount of gold lead. Here we go though.
Critical for an attempt to scare them off. But the Rogue is just simply blocking the blows.
Yeah, if anything, those are like minor scratches onto that house star right there. Not really that much damage, and that's the tricky part here. You know, as much as Mineski's primary damage dealers really want to try to take down members of FBI.
Oh boy, ward's being placed. Dokla with the control ward, really denying vision from TG.
And speaking of control,
Rift Herald is up. Oh boy, FBI will be happy with this. MSK gets the full blow of the combo. You can see FBI putting up those traps. Cubes gets stun locked. The Rift Herald's doing a lot of damage. There is the equalizer and the Weaver's Wall for the cutoff, but it will be Ryoban taking out Exocent. Rogue is in too deep. Under 3 members right now. He's very low, but the Unbreakable will save him up. He's very tanky. The inhibitor is exposed, and I think the Rift Herald will be doing the job for them.
Oh man. Wow. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Rift Herald, this is probably one of the most efficient uses of Rift Herald that I've seen thus far, and this could potentially be the game if Sin Gaming continues to push this out.
So I think that's going to be game set. Wow. With the Rift Herald still intact, Sin Gaming with the macro play secures their victory in the first matchup of the King of the Hills. Congratulations to OPL for their first victory. Bit of a toss back here. TG still in denial, but there it is, guys. That's going to be game set. Really clean gameplay coming from Sin Gaming.
Man, oh man, oh man. I gotta say. Whew. I mean, I gotta breathe a bit. I mean, that was... I'm trying to find a word to put it lightly, but I couldn't. That was a fiasco right there for Mineski.
That was a butcher.
That was a slaughter. Yeah. Quite unfortunate.
It was the inhumane slaughter where Sin Gaming got this huge lead from the top side, and it was all about Dokla. The Rumble that got a lead shut down the top lane of Mineski immediately, and now, after that, there was a setback in the bot lane. They got the first turn onto FBI. FBI is this ADC that I keep emphasizing because he will take down the turrets with those traps. Someone has to ban out that Katie because we've seen it in day 2 of the Rift Rivals between LJL's region. Also, they had a hard time with that Caitlyn because they keep taking down turrets one after another. But guys, I think that summarizes the first matchup of the King of the Hill.
Yeah, I mean, That does, but of course, when we do get back with Mineski out of the running, it is now up to Ascension Gaming to try to defend and get GPL to the next level right there.
So as I mentioned for the format before, this is the King of the Hill where the losing team will be switched out to the second seed of GPL, which would be Ascension Gaming. Right now, this is going to be one team down, whereas OPL, they still have three teams available to take them on. So guys, I think there you have it. A really convincing victory from OPL. So I think that settles the score for now, but we'll be going on to a short break. We have your shoutcasters. I'm Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. You just watched the Rift High rivals of the King of the Hill semifinals. Stay tuned for the next matchup of Ascension Gaming and Sid Gaming.